The Silence Collector, the man who hunted screams. A terrifying story of control, fear, and one victim who refused to stay quiet. They said he moved like a ghost. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses. But his signature, every victim was found with their vocal cords destroyed and a cassette tape left beside the body labeled Silence. In just under 18 months, 8 people were killed across 3 states. Each victim was different, age, race, profession. But the police noticed a chilling pattern. All were known for speaking out. Journalists, activists, teachers, podcasters. All were murdered in their own homes. All were found with their voice box surgically removed. Each crime scene had an old cassette player, and when played, it looped the same distorted message. You speak too loud. Now you'll be quiet forever. The press called him the Silence Collector. His murders weren't random. They were statements. Victim 1, a political podcast host who exposed local corruption. Victim 2, a former therapist who spoke about emotional abuse. Victim 3, a librarian who hosted free speech rallies. What shocked investigators wasn't just the cruelty, but the precision. The killer had surgical skill. He didn't just silence them figuratively, he did it literally. Detectives from multiple jurisdictions were called in. No signs of forced entry, no cameras, no digital footprint. But in Victim 4's case, a small mistake, a single black fiber, was found under a broken lamp. It was traced to a rare kind of vintage theater costume, 1950s-era stage velvet. This led police to investigate former stagehands, surgeons, and anyone with a record of audio engineering or surgical background. But the list was huge. No one stood out until Victim 6. A criminal psychologist built a profile. Male, 30s to 50s. Likely had experience in both surgery and sound engineering. Obsessive-compulsive tendencies, possibly triggered by sound, voices, or loud environments. They believed he was killing people he felt were too loud, emotionally, socially, or ideologically. The deeper they dug, the darker it got. After a tip from a former audio school classmate, police investigated Gavin Holt, a 42-year-old reclusive man who worked part-time at a broken audio repair shop in Baltimore. What they found shocked them. He had a soundproof basement, padded walls, a surgical table, and jars labeled with numbers. Inside each jar, preserved vocal cords. In a hidden cabinet, cassette tapes organized by victim names and dates. On one wall, scrawled in red marker, "When they scream, I hear music." Gavin had once been a brilliant sound technician and med student, but he was expelled after a mental breakdown triggered by auditory hallucinations and the tragic suicide of his opera singer mother. She had screamed as she died. That scream never left him. Gavin was finally caught after Victim 9 fought back. Claire Monroe, 35, an investigative journalist, had suspected she was being followed. She installed cameras. The night he broke in, she triggered a silent alarm and fought him off with a broken bottle. Bleeding, Gavin ran. Police caught him hiding in an abandoned theater 3 blocks away. Inside his bag, scalpels, duct tape, and a cassette labeled, "Claire, Final Movement." Gavin Holt was arrested and charged with 8 counts of murder, 1 attempted, and multiple counts of desecration of corpses. In court, he said nothing. He refused to speak. His lawyer claimed he believes sound is violence. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole and placed in a psychiatric facility. To this day, he hasn't spoken a word. The surviving victim, Claire, later published a best-selling book titled "I Screamed So I'd Live." It became a movement, victims reclaiming their voice and advocating for trauma survivors. The Silence Collector faded into history, but the horror he left behind still echoes in every room he haunted. He hunted voices, he collected silence. But in the end, one scream was loud enough to stop him. This is The Killer Mindset. Subscribe for more true crime stories that dive into the darkest corners of the human mind.